Welcome to God's Favourite Shepherds, a collection of 39 short stories rounding out the lives of mainly lesser-known Bible characters, with many of the stories ending with a short quiz. Listen now to the author of God's Favourite Shepherds, Bill Ackland.
The title for this story today is very brief. It is My Grandson, and the subheading, A Godly Upbringing. And this story is based on the second book of Timothy, chapter 1. If ever there was a proud grandmother, I am that person. We live in momentous days, times when so much has happened that I don't know where to start to tell my story. Perhaps I should commence with the most wonderful thing that has happened in this troubled world in which we live. Some years ago, at just the time when the prophets had foretold, the Messiah, Jesus Christ, was born into this world. His mother Mary was an unassuming young woman who was greatly surprised one night when an angel appeared to her and told her she would be the mother of the Lord, the one who would bring salvation to the whole world. This was an overwhelming announcement. Mary, devoted to God as she was, accepted what the angel said, and 9 months later gave birth to the Saviour. She was supported and protected by her new husband Joseph, a somewhat older man and one to whom the angels also appeared more than once. Many years went by until Jesus was 30 years of age. He then left Nazareth, went down to the Jordan, and was baptised by John the Baptist. This commenced his 3.5 years of ministry. He preached amazing things to the people that they had never heard before, at least not in the way he told them. He not only preached, but he healed people everywhere he went, for the doctors of our day do not know how to cure most diseases. Then, because the religious leaders of that time hated Jesus so much, he was taken one night, treated in a wicked way, and crucified on a cross on a hill outside Jerusalem called Calvary. This must have been dreadful for his disciples and other close followers, but we learn later that all these things were in the Scriptures, prophesied by God's prophets long ago. Jesus himself had told the disciples he would be put to death and that he would also rise again. This is just what we heard a little while later when we learnt more about him. We had always known the Messiah would come, but didn't hear much about it at our local synagogue. By now my daughter had married. She had a son, and my husband and I were well into our lives as respected senior people in our town. But then the persecution of those who believed in Jesus commenced from Jerusalem. The believers, who were known as the Way, were scattered into more distant places in Israel and further afield into other countries, taking the gospel of Jesus with them. The persecution did not stop though. A man by the name of Saul, one of the youngest members of the ruling class called Pharisees, was given permission to go to Damascus, seize believers there, and take them back to Jerusalem to deal with them. The next thing we heard about Saul was that on his way to Damascus, he was confronted by Jesus himself. Jesus appeared to him in a light so bright that it blinded him, and he spoke to him right there. As a result, Saul was converted and became an instant believer. Jesus told him he must go to the Gentiles to preach the gospel of the Saviour, and this is exactly what he did. By now our grandson had grown into a fine young man. He was very spiritually minded and loved to go to the synagogue and read the scriptures there. He was especially fascinated to read the prophecies telling of the coming of the Messiah. And from our limited knowledge of the events of Jesus' life, he could see that the Saviour was truly the one who should come. His study times ensured that he was committed to Jesus Christ, the Son of God, his Saviour and ours. A little while later, Saul, who by now was known as Paul, came to our area. He had heard of our grandson and apparently was determined to dedicate him to be a minister of the gospel of Jesus and take him with him on his missionary journeys through much of this part of the Roman Empire. I was so grateful to God that the grandson I had known as a baby, who has grown up to love God and who found out about the Saviour was to serve him for the rest of his life. My name is Lois, my daughter is Eunice, and my much-loved grandson is Timothy. And I have a brief quiz for you. In what body of water was Jesus baptised? By what name were the followers of Jesus first known? Who was Timothy's mother and who was his grandmother? Who became a big influence in Timothy's life, even his mentor?
You've been listening to God's Favoured Shepherds, a book with 39 short stories rounding out the lives of mainly lesser-known Bible characters. If you have any comments or questions, or to obtain a copy of this book, give us a call within Australia on 02 4973 3456 or send an email to radio@3abnaustralia.org.au. We'd love to hear from you.